to the Mavs Fans for Life. Shahnavaz, welcome
Still
to
going.
the Mavs Fans for Life podcast, emergency pod. Shahnavaz already shaking his head. Breaking news from Shams. What a way to start your ESPN career. I mean, a Luka Dončić trade from the Dallas Mavericks, just from the Dallas and Mavericks.
From the Mavericks.
We'll get into that, to the Los Angeles Lakers. The trade, Shams tweeted, Lakers received Luka Dončić, Maxi Kleber. We talked about a Maxi Kleber trade the past few weeks on what's going to happen in the trade deadline. Markieff Morris is included. The Mavericks received Anthony Davis. We just talked about Anthony Davis, which is weird. Max Christie and a 2029 first-round pick from the Lakers. It's a three-team trade. The Jazz are part of this trade. They get Jalen Hood, Shafino, 2025 Clippers second-round pick, and a 2025 Mavericks second-round pick. Shahnavaz, man, I was just getting in bed and you hit that notification. My goodness. I mean, before we even get into it, Shahnavaz, what is your thoughts about Luka being traded? Not even the fact that the Mavericks are getting Anthony Davis and a first round pick of Max Christie, but like this is Luka Dončić. I mean, he's 25, the superstar, top 3-4 player in the league. What is your thoughts on the news when you received that notification?
Just shock. I thought it was fake, like everybody else. You know, I have Shams's tweets on notifications on my Twitter app. So, you know, any NBA news that comes through, you know, same thing I did with Woj, right? And especially during free agency period, because it's hard to go back and see everything. And so that popped up, I guess, 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago on my phone. And I was like, what kind of young idiot is going in and hacking into Shams's Twitter and posting this ridiculous news on a Saturday night? Like, Knicks Lakers game just ended. You know, everyone's just chilling. Everyone's having a good time. We're hoping, you know, is Luka going to come back this week? Like we talked about last week, you know,
That's what we
Cavs game
talked
tomorrow.
about.
And I was
How's
like,
that
I
gonna
saw it
play?
and I was like, did I read that right? I was like, Mavs are getting Anthony Davis. I was like, dang, what did we give up? I was like, that's a good deal. And then I saw Luka and I was like, hold on, did I read that wrong? Like, I thought it was Maxi, Markieff, and like something else. I had to go back and reread it a few times, and then, you know, obviously, like everyone else, I thought he got hacked. You know, I posted on Twitter and I said, "Where's the info? Where's him coming back and saying, hey, I got hacked?" You know, because I think that
Yeah.
happened a couple of years ago. Right after I tweeted that, he sends another one and says, "Yes, this is real." Then ESPN puts it out. Then Brad Townsend puts it out, and then of course the one trusted, you know, the most trusted guy in Dallas media, I think, you know, for everyone, Mark Stein. As soon as Mark put it out, it was like, that's when it hit me that this was real. I'm at a loss for words, Landon. Like I don't. We can get into the reasonings and kind of what we think about it, but you know, my initial reaction of trading Luka Dončić is just shock. I've been trying to make sense of it over the last 45 minutes. You know, talking to a bunch of people. I've got a bunch of friends texting me, and you know, they all, you know, listen to the pod. They all know that, you know, this is, you know, kind of what we do, and everyone's asking my opinion, and you know, you and I were texting, and kind of just like, what is, I can't find the words. I don't know. Like it's just, I got to redo my media room now because I got a big picture of him and Dirk, and I'm like, then now I got to go redecorate. Like, come on,
Wow.
this is causing problems for me.
Wow.
Give me your thoughts, because we can get into the reasoning. We can get into what Nico Harrison said. We can get into what was also said on Twitter by other reporters, some things coming out about Luka Dončić, it seems. Yeah, let me get your thoughts, because I know you've been in the process of moving, and it came as obviously a shock to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, the last few days has been crazy for me personally. I'm in a good way. You know, I haven't even had a chance to watch the last couple of games, you know, and, you know, finally get settled in and, you know, get ready to get back into the Mavs coverage. And then just a shocking trade, not even a shocking trade, the most stunning trade we've probably seen ever. I mean,
Yeah.
it has to be top 3 shocking trade. Like I finally got moved in and I was sitting with my jaw dropped for like 10 minutes, just trying to process what was going on. Like you said, I thought Shams was hacked. And then, when ESPN puts out the tweet, because usually, once they put it out, okay, this is for real. It's not, just one of our reporters posting on Twitter. But man, my goodness, I'm totally mind blown because Shams just reported LeBron had no idea, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
then he reported that Anthony Davis had no idea, and he's reporting Luka is stunned by the trade. So I'm trying to figure out, trying to wrap my head around what's going on because I haven't received anything from the PR team. Obviously, a trade like this is going to take a while to, first of all, get the financials right. Second of all, go through the NBA. Third of all, process all the stuff that you do for Luka Dončić and promoting him, and he's the leader of your team, one of the leaders of your team with Kyrie. First of all, you don't even think about Anthony Davis coming back. I mean, we
Yeah.
just talked about how good he is when he's healthy, and I mean, he should be a top five player with his abilities every single year. But my goodness, I'm still trying to process this as I speak. And that's one of the hard things to do because, we talked about Maxi Kleber. He is the trade chip for the Mavericks this season. We talked about it a long time. But when you're throwing in Luka Doncic, and then when Shams is reporting that the Mavericks were the ones that approached the Lakers first and offering Luka Doncic when he's a what 6 time? I mean, just all the things he's done in his career has been greater than people who played for 20 years, but 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to go into accolades because it speaks for itself. It's just shocking, and I can't believe what's going on. I'm trying to wrap my head. I can't wait to go in person to see anything that I see with my eyes because I'm dumbfounded by this trade.
Yeah, the fact that, I started seeing stuff about, apparently a rift between Anthony Davis and the Lakers organization. I don't know what the accuracy of that is. There were some tweets that came out that said the Mavericks have grown increasingly. I think Tim McMahon reported it that they've grown increasingly concerned with Luka's conditioning and
Yeah.
have been hesitant to give him a supermax in this offseason, which look,
Now he's not even getting it.
and now he can't get the supermax. But if I'm trying to, like I said, I've been trying to rack my brain and try to figure out why a move like this happens. And the only thing I can think of, and you talk about the return, because the big question is how did you only get a first round pick, one first round pick? You couldn't go to OKC and get four. Mikal Bridges got five, right? Like the Knicks gave up five
Yeah.
first round picks for Mikal Bridges. The only thing that makes sense in my mind is GMs talk, right? All the GMs talk to each other. They all know kind of what's going on. I have to think that something happened over the last month that Luka's been out. Has he not been taking his rehab seriously? Has he not been, has he not been working out? Like, we were expecting him to be reevaluated this weekend. We haven't heard anything,
Yeah.
about that. Was there a setback? Are they concerned that at 25 years old, he has a history of lower body injuries? Is this something that's like, do you really want to commit $350 million, over the next 5 years and then have a contract like Zion's where it's kind of like you can't get out from under it and you probably have to, what are you supposed to do? Look at the Pelicans, right? That are they're kind of stuck in no man's land now when they gave Zion the Supermax and here he is missing, 30, 40 games a year and they're kind of stuck fighting for a play-in spot or below, and they're tied to that contract now. They're not going to be able to get out from under it unless they start attaching stuff to it. So from that's the only thing that makes sense to me. And if GMs talk, I wonder if that's been a concern around the league. We've heard it before about his conditioning, but
Hmm.
maybe it was worse than we thought. Maybe GMs around the league thought it was worse, than what has been led on. And look, the Lakers are in a spot where LeBron's going to retire soon, and we saw what they were without a marquee name. They know what they are without a marquee name. They have to have a superstar to stay relevant. And so for them, it was a no-brainer. For any team, getting Luka Dončić is a no-brainer. But I
Yeah.
think for the Lakers, you kind of you don't think about those concerns if he's oh what if he gets hurt again? They're going to pay him, they're going to sign him, he'll be there the next 5 years, 4 years. So for them, it puts butts in their seat. It puts butts in the seats over at crypto, at the crypto arena. For the Mavs, I just that's the only thing, Landon, that makes sense in my mind, and I wonder how much else is going to come out over the next few days. To your point, right, being there and kind of asking those questions and seeing what is this something that Kyrie knew about? Is this something that Clay knew was coming? What does this do for morale in the locker room? What does this do for
Mm-hmm.
players that came to Dallas to say, I wanted to play with Luka? The team
Mm-hmm.
that you built around Luka. Um, is this a precursor to other moves? Like Kyrie's got a player option. Does Kyrie tell the Mavs front office, I'm not picking it up, trade me? Get me out of here before February, or before the trade deadline on Thursday. I mean, this could have a domino effect now going forward. There's so many different avenues to this. I just don't understand. In my mind, that's the only thing that makes sense. Is there's something that's been let on that we don't know about.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, you just have to wait and see because it's one of those captivating trades that everyone talks about, and it's crazy to think about because, you know, a couple of weeks ago, people were wanting Dorian Finney-Smith in Dallas, and now and he has those conversations. It's funny when hindsight is 2020, but it's really not because they're just playful conversations. You saw Luka talk to Dorian before, that game um, with the Lakers, and it's funny because now they're teammates. And you would always think it would be with the Mavericks, and it's with the Lakers, which is so crazy to think. But then my mind also thinks about the direction of both teams because you just
Mm-hmm.
said it. LeBron is getting older, and yeah, it's cool to see Luka with LeBron for his twilight, year or two. But at the same time, they play the same way. So that's going to be interesting to see. And, who's going to be off the ball? Obviously, it's going to be LeBron. He's going to take a backseat to Luka, but that's going to be weird to see. Are they retooling or rebuilding?
Yeah.
That's another domino effect. What are the next moves for the Lakers? And then also, does LeBron retire? Does he get these last half of the season with Luka and say, okay, now I'm good. I play with Luka
Just
and just ride off in the sunset. I play with Luka and my son. Yeah, as a last hurrah in the season.
Yeah,
And then
and I'll say Brad Townsend just tweeted out. This apparently was all Nico. So his exact tweet says, "I'm told this was Nico Harrison's deal. It took several weeks to play out after the Mavericks reached out to the Lakers, and that Harrison got full support from Mavs Governor Patrick Dumont. So this has been in the works for a while. It sounds like
well, it's
this isn't just a Saturday night deal. This didn't just come up the last week. This sounds like it's been in the works for a while. And I wonder to that effect, as a team that made a finals run, you come into this season, and if you're Nico, are you discouraged by the fact that you think Luka's not taking it seriously, that you just made the finals, you just missed it, you see the work that Kyrie puts in, you see the work that other guys put in. Is that something that started this kind of conversation in Nico's mind, right? To say, as generational of a player as he is, if you can't take it seriously after winning, there needs to be a hunger after winning. We've talked about it, right? That
but he
after you
does,
lose
but
the
he does
finals,
take it seriously.
but I'm just trying to rationalize in my head.
He plays
That's
too
the only
much.
thing.
That's the problem.
That's the only thing I'm trying to think if this is. Why is a trade like this warranted? Like that's the only thing I can think of, right? Like I'm not saying that that's the case, and I'm not saying that
Yeah,
it's right. I'm saying make it make sense. Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
like I just and look, you want to talk about the basketball fit. To your point, Luka and LeBron are like they play the same style. This trade doesn't make sense from that perspective for the Lakers, and AD and Kyrie actually fit like a glove. Like that's
Yeah,
a and then you put Anthony Davis next to Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. I mean, you want to talk about defense? Like that's a defensive team,
yeah.
and Kyrie can unlock the best of AD. AD can unlock the best of Kyrie. I think that fit is seamless. But you're also talking about Luka Dončić, who's a top 3 player in the NBA. You just don't trade him. You just don't trade a guy like Luka Dončić for what you got back. And that's why in my mind I'm saying the only way to rationalize that is, at least for now until we get more info, is that this is the best kept secret in the NBA, that the way he's viewed across the league, potentially in other front offices, was worse than what we thought. And maybe folks weren't willing to give up, a lot for him. Maybe Nico made calls to other teams to say, hey, Luka's going on the block. What are you going to offer? And maybe teams just were like, you know what? We're not taking that risk. We don't want to go like that. And the Lakers said, you know what? Fine. Like, we'll do it. We have to wait and see, right? We don't know. I'm just shocked. Like, how do you ration all the moves that Nico's made? We've given him praise for everything, and now this is like a slap in the face to Mavs fans everywhere, to trade your superstar player a year before he hits free agency like this. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, he must have asked out. Luka must have said, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. And you say, okay, fine, I got to get something back. But the fact that he didn't even know about it, we got to get more information on this.
Well, that's what it boils down to. I mean, I had no clue. I've been to all the home games, and the camaraderie is there. I mean, there's no distancing, there's no. I've seen Nico after every game, and he, obviously these, like you said, these are the best kept secrets in the league, and it's that's why it's so shocking. Not only because this came out of nowhere, but like you said, it's been building. There's a foundation, but the surprise is there, and also Luka. I mean, you don't trade Luka. That's it, unless he asks for the trade. You try to get the best package available, but you do not trade Luka. And I know there is the is he really giving his all when it comes to conditioning? Like obviously he does on the court, but that conditioning leads to injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what the injury is, I would not trade Luka because he gives you the best chance to win.
Right.
And when I look at the Mavericks now, with Anthony Davis, he also gives them a chance to win as well. Like you said, there's a different dynamic there, and I'm saying you don't trade Luka, but I'm saying this is the reality where you do have to talk about Anthony Davis. I mean, he's about to play in the All-Star game again. Once again, he's always top three, top five in Defensive Player of the Year voting. And you know, when you think about him pairing with Kyrie, it fits like a glove, like you said. Especially that's why with Anthony Davis, we just talked about it. Like he should be the number one player on a team. Like with his, you know, unlike Wemby and Jokic and Luka, I mean, there's his skill set is very rare. So if he's healthy, him with Kyrie, I mean, that's the best duo you can think of. And that's funny because a week ago we were saying Luka and Kyrie,
And
and that's what's crazy to say.
yeah, that's the crazy thing. And low key, I like Max Christie's game a lot. He's kind of a throw-in this trade, but I really like what he brings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it from the basketball side of things. Anthony Davis fits.
What's been lost in because everyone's so shocked and surprised.
Yeah, and to your point, you have to look at reality. Like this is what it is. Like this is the new. I'm just curious to know what happened because it doesn't make sense. Like the fact that this has been worked on for a few weeks, something must have triggered internally within the organization for the Mavericks to say we cannot commit $350 million to
Yeah, I
this.
want to hear Nico's side.
I think, and I know he came out with a statement that said, I believe defense win championships. And to your point, this puts the Mavs in a position to win now over the next couple of years. They have movable assets as well, in other players. And then that 2029 pick is going to be super valuable, assuming, obviously LeBron, who knows if he's playing in 5 years with the way that guy is. But even then, the Mavs now are under the luxury tax. They've got cap flexibility going forward. You don't have to commit any supermax contracts. So there's benefits, but I mean the biggest thing is you traded Luka Dončić. And so for me, as a fan, to help, like, I can be rational, right? And we've talked about this, right? We know we've seen plenty of irrational folks when anytime anything happens, there's blame that goes to people that don't deserve blame on the team or within the organization. So I can rationalize in my head that, okay, something must have happened. I just need to know now what, so I can be at peace with it, as opposed to just, I don't know. I've been a Mavs fan my whole life, right? Luka hasn't been on the team when I was a Mavs fan, when they were crappy in the 90s, before Dirk got there. I was a Mavs fan, when even Dirk was on the team and the Mavs suck. Like, players move around, trades happen. It is what it is, right? That's the nature of the business. Just help me to understand why. Like, I feel like I have to know in my mind why, because of the fact that how generational of a player he is, what he did for this team last year, taking them to the finals, to then turn 6 months later and say, we're going to trade him. It's just mind blowing to me. There's got to be reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously going to be that question to Nico when he has a press conference. When you trade a player of that magnitude, you can't just have a welcome Anthony Davis, welcome Max Christie press conference. You have to have a press conference, you know, stating what direction that you're trying to go with a trade like that, because not only does that change the dynamic of the team, I mean, everything of the team, it also changes the the window of the team,
Mm-hmm.
because like you just said, the team can still be great and they can still have the potential to win a lot of games. But when you look at the things Luka has done at his age, like, I know the word generational, like you just mentioned, is overstated by the masses, speaking of national media, because they throw it around like once a month. But he is truly generational. So that just takes you a step back to say, what was the reason for trading him, like you said? But also, what is the direction that you're going in now? Because if you're making win now moves, why is Luka not a win now move?
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because if you say, hey, defense wins championships and Anthony Davis is the best defender in the league, and he can also be all NBA on offense. And we made this decision because with a guy like Kyrie, we have the ball handling, we have the scoring, we have the facilitator. We need a post who can dominate the game at all three levels. And I know it's tough move with as talented Luka is, but with the chance to get Anthony Davis and the talent that he is, I made the move. I want to see something like that. I don't want to just see something like, hey, it was an opportunity that we saw. We wish Luca the best, and he's done so many great. I don't want that. I
Yeah.
want something that's clear cut. Say, hey, injuries, but you can't go the injury route because Anthony Davis is just as injured. So you have to say something about defense or something about, hey, his competitiveness was on the court, but in off-season training or in practices, or he's still young, so he didn't have the Kobe mind mentality. But I'm looking at players, I'm hearing them talk in press conference. There's no difference from this season than last season. It's just a lot of players were injured this year. Just speaking on the camaraderie of the team.
Yeah, I'm going through Twitter. I just saw Windhorse just said on SportsCenter, and I'll quote it. This is not about the Lakers, not really about LeBron. It's about the Mavs and Luka Dončić, one of the biggest, most stunning trades in the history of the league. It's basically a rebuke of Dončić. The Mavs are saying they don't think they can win with him. His defense, his conditioning, his ability to focus at the biggest moments. It's the Mavs who are pulling the plug. There was only one bidder as far as we know. They didn't even get the entire package from the Lakers. Lakers are still holding a first-round pick. This is LeBron's dream.
If he's about to retire, what is his dream? To play with
Well,
Luka?
it's ESPN. They're, if he's on the Mavs, Lucas sucks. If he's with the Lakers, he's a god. That's what it's
Yeah.
going to be. But
And you just said it best because it's going to be interesting. Like, I know we're not even looking down the road, but it's going to be interesting how ESPN and national media treats Luka with the Lakers.
oh, they're going to love it. They're going to love it.
And,
Are you kidding
and
me?
that's going to be crazy because I think you're also going to see rejuvenated Anthony Davis. Because
Hmm.
Chris Haynes said Anthony Davis waived his trade kicker. Like, why would you waive your trade kicker to make more money, and potentially hurt the Mavs cap wise, if
Yeah.
you're stunned on this trade? Like,
Yeah.
you're obviously talking with some players
Somebody. Yeah. You've
with
talked
within the Mavs, or you're talking with a coach that you had a relationship with the Lakers,
Jason
Jason
Kidd.
Kidd,
Yep.
Jared Dudley. I mean, you have a relationship with Nico. I mean,
I forgot about that. That's right. Kidd and Dudley were on that championship
so
staff.
that's what I
You're
want to hear.
right.
I want to hear Nico. I want to hear Jason Kidd's thoughts. I want to hear Jared Dudley's thoughts. I want to hear Kyrie's
Kyrie's.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson, like you said, he came to the Mavs. He talked about Luka so much for coming to the Mavs, and he watched them in the finals say, "Hey, I'm just a missing piece." This team wasn't healthy, but
Yeah.
now you're just thinking, my goodness.
Shams is saying deal materialized in the shadows. LeBron James had no idea this was coming. Anthony Davis had
Yeah,
no idea.
so yeah.
Luca is still stunned. Is what he's saying.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier. It's there's some sort of reasoning behind this trade, and if it's just defense and off season being lazy, that's not enough because when he's on the court, he still performs all NBA as a top three player. So that's not enough to trade him. It's enough to have a hard conversation sitting with him, and discussing those things. But at the same time, he does have a close relationship with with Anthony Davis. So it puts in your mind, is there any sense or any rumblings in Nico's thoughts
Hmm.
on Luka eventually leaving and not focus on Dallas and the things they're trying to build? Because when you make a move like that, it kind of assumes that.
Yeah, and that's like it goes back, to exactly, you said it right. I mean, Nico had to have known something. Like there had to be so you don't just make this move to make a
Yeah,
move. Like there's got to
agree.
be something that trigger this, especially like I said, if it's been in the works for a few weeks, the conditioning we know is an issue, but maybe it's worse than we thought, right? Maybe it's and if Nico thought I saw what AD did under Jason Kidd and Jared Dudley, like that seems to be the missing piece. We can retool around him and Kyrie. It would be shocking to me if they didn't talk to Kyrie about this either.
Yeah.
This would be shocking. If this was a Kyrie didn't know, Clay didn't know, that would absolutely be completely. I would just be dumbfounded at that point if this was a behind the scenes thing with Nico, which is not how he's worked in the past, right? He's generally consulted with with star
Yep.
players on moves, and so I wonder if here's an interesting thought, and tell me you're closer to this than I am, but tell me what you think about this. From Nico's perspective, you bring in Kyrie a couple years ago. The Mavericks go to the finals last year, a position that Kyrie's been in, Clay's been in, right? They know what it takes to win the finals. What are the chances that Kyrie and Clay, two NBA title winners, had these conversations with Nico and Jason Kidd saying, we don't think he's got it in him. We know what it takes to win.
Mm,
Maybe he doesn't have it. We were on teams that have it. He's a great player. He's a generational talent. All of that. We know that. But that he doesn't have that it factor to win a title. He doesn't have, what's going to put you over the top.
Mamba mentality.
And I'm not saying this is not me agreeing with the trade. This is not me saying that I'm happy that Luka's gone. No, I'm just trying to rationalize what happened. When you have two championship winners like Luka and Kyrie, or excuse me, like Kyrie and Clay, It would shock me if it would not surprise me if Kyrie looked at the situation and said, I don't think he has what it takes to win the title.
Mm.
And maybe Nico, who's been around champions, his entire career, with Nike, had a very close relationship with Kobe Bryant. He also knows what it takes, right? He's seen it in, with players that he's worked with before. Clay's been around it, winning titles with Steph, winning titles with Kevin Durant. Who's to say that Kyrie and Clay didn't say, this ain't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. From what I saw two guys who have definitely respected each other and grown closer as the time went on between Kyrie and Luka. I mean, anything in this league doesn't shock me, but this does.
Yeah. Oh, this
Um,
is a complete
so
shocker.
so I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen. So, it's just crazy to think, but you're also thinking it like that because so you said two champions who perform on the biggest stage, and then you have Anthony Davis, a champion who performed on the biggest stage. So it's like you got three guys who have different stories in this league: Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, and who really want to win really bad. And I know Luca does too. And that's what's shocking because I'm trying to see both sides. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm trying to see because this is not a Luka Doncic podcast episode, but it really is, because he is the franchise. He really elevated this franchise back to just being contenders, because in the twilight of Dirk's career, no one knew the direction of the Mavs. So, he elevated his game as the Mavericks elevated um, in the Western Conference. But this is very shocking, and I don't even know what to think seeing Luka in a Lakers jersey. Like that is going to be crazy to me, and especially coming back to Dallas. Like I don't, I want to really. That's what I'm trying to see when I go to games. I don't look, just for things that are on the court that are, you know, that the masses love to see. Like I want to I want to report, I want to show things that you can't see. That's like when I post content, it's like stuff that you don't see on TV. And
Yeah.
it's some of them are just stupid stuff, and some of them are like captivating stuff that you can't believe you're seeing. So
Yeah.
like that's what I want to see when Luca comes to town. Like, is he shaking hands with Nico? Is he shaking hands with Jason Kidd? Like, is he hugging Kyrie? Or like, is he having conversations, with the coaching staff or front office while he's here? Like, I want to know what's the dynamic between Luca and the front office because, like you said, I don't care about his defense. I don't care about his offseason routine or how hard he practices because when he plays on the court, he still performs.
Yep.
And it's like
Absolutely.
Allen Iverson. I mean, I'm not quoting him, but I'm saying if you obviously you want players to play, give it their best, but it's a new era. And I think that could play into it. Like you said, Kyrie and Clay are in a different era.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is in that era. He might be younger than those two, but he's in that era. So three guys who are going to just focus on basketball. And maybe Nico's thinking Luca's focusing on his brand. But I'm just speculating because I didn't see any of this. And that's why everyone's so shocked because usually when you see a player of this magnitude jump teams or gets traded or has a bad relationship with the team, you see you see rumblings, you see little crumbs of it building up to look at Jimmy Butler. I
Yeah.
mean, or even look at Clay,
Yeah. I
with
was going to
one
say there was
team.
always something. Yeah. People were.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah. This just, again, we talked about the national media stuff. Brian Windhorst, again, people are posting stuff on Twitter. We're kind of following along. He just said the LA just acquired the next great Laker. So,
Huh.
when he's with Dallas, he's garbage, but when he's with the Lakers, he's the next great. He also said, I had a current NBA All-Star text me and say, do you know how much the Mavs must hate Luka? That's what they're talking about around the league. Everyone
Yeah.
is just shocked. I mean, I just want to hear reasonings. I just want to see. I want to know what Nico says. I want to see what something's got to come out, man.
I
Like
will say,
it doesn't make sense.
I will say this. And first of all, before I say this, you should never trade Luka unless he asks for a
Ask
trade.
out.
And I'm sticking on that. I don't
I,
care what the reasoning is.
I'm with you on that.
I'm sticking on that. But
And,
I
and
will
and again,
say,
like I said, I'm not accepting of the trade. I'm just trying to make sense of it because it's reality, right? Like this
well,
isn't
yeah.
like we have to make sense of it.
But what I'm saying is, I will say there is a difference, and I'm just being honest. This, Mavs fans can say what they want, but there is a difference between Kyrie leadership and his demeanor leading this team than Luka. And we talked about it. This is not
Hmm.
a shock. This is not, oh, you want to talk about that now? No, I've said this on the podcast many a times. There's a
Yep.
difference in Kyrie's leadership. He has really led this team. He leads huddles. He's mentoring young players. He's always getting the team to perform at high levels under extreme pressure without panicking. And that's a different leadership that I've seen with Luka. And I'm not saying Luka's a bad leader. I'm saying Luka is a leader by example. Because if you see Luka on the sidelines, playing or not, I've posted many of times.
Yeah.
He's a jokester in a good way. Like he likes to have fun. This is his favorite thing to do in life is play basketball. And he enjoys it. He plays, he does the little tricks. He's always playing games with his teammates and keeping it light, the energy fun. But when you see Kyrie, he wants to win so badly in Dallas. And it is evident because the way he talks, the way he speaks to his teammates, the way the way he speaks to Jason Kidd, like they're peer to peer, but it's really coach player.
And
Like
that's why I
those type of
said,
things.
I wonder if that was a conversation that was had with Nico from Kyrie and
I
Clay.
wouldn't
Like
be surprised.
that just you what you just said makes a ton of sense, right? From a leadership perspective, the way Kyrie is, he knows what it takes to win. And you're right. There is a different generation, right? Like there's a different
Yes.
generation of young kids, but you look at, and I'm not again, you don't trade a generational star like unless he asks out. I 100% agree with you.
And
This
at
is not
least get two first round
get
picks.
two
Even
first round.
even if it's Anthony Davis, it's Luka. He's
Right,
25. You
right.
still got to get two
But you
at least.
look at and I don't even want to actually I'm not even going to make that point because it's just dumb. You just don't do this trade. And
Yeah.
then unfortunately it's done and now it's kind of like now we just wait, like we just wait and see what comes out because that's really all. I don't know if we're ever going to get the full story. And we may look back on this in 3 years and say, wow, the Mavs, props to Nico because Luka's missed, Luka's turned into Joel Embiid, can't stay healthy. Like who knows, right? Maybe Luka says screw it after his contract's up and goes back to Real Madrid and goes overseas because he's tired of the NBA. Who knows? This may be a move that pans out, for the Mavericks. More likely than not, it's gonna, the Lakers are getting a top 3 player in the NBA, and they're, and we've seen players want to play with Luka before, and now you've put him in LA, where when LeBron retires, they're gonna have enough cap space to go after another star. I mean, that's another team you're going to have to deal with in the Western Conference. And so, it's going to be funny to see in a couple of years how we look back on this. But for now, we have to accept it as reality. But for me, it's kind of like, I just need to know why. I need to know the reasoning so I can be at peace with it and move on. Because right now I'm in the same boat as other Mavs fans. I'm shocked. I'm saddened because Luka's one of my favorite players. So obviously, favorite player being on the Mavericks for my favorite team. And just confused, really. I mean, I think that's the one word that sums it up: either shock or confused. I think that's the general sentiment going around the Mavs kind of stratosphere right now.
Well, I'll say this, once you're around these players and, you know, you start to realize, like I understand from a fan's perspective, you know, you get so attached to the team and players, but once you really see the game for what it is, you can't get attached to anybody.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
and that's what it is because and I'm going to say this because of personal experience. Dorian Finney-Smith. I love the way his career developed, just seeing it from beginning to, reaching his peak with the Dallas Mavericks. And, I thought he was going to be a lifer. Not only just watching on TV before I started even covering the Mavs, but watching in person the love that he has from the franchise, the love that he has from prior teammates with the Mavs, and the love that he had from fans. I literally thought he was going to be a lifer with the Mavericks. And when he got traded, I instantly thought, and this it's not even a star. It's not even a top player in the league, but I instantly that was my realization um that this is a business. And,
100%.
and the reason I say that is because the stuff you see off TV, like it's not just, oh, they're saying that because it's a press conference and millions of people are watching on YouTube. Like you truly saw him be invested in the Mavericks and the Mavericks invested in him, but it's Kyrie Irving. So that's what I'm saying. So like, no matter who it is, you there's always a chance something like this could happen, and that's what it is. Because this for Nico Harrison side, like we talked about Luka and Anthony Davis, but Nico Harrison, I know just a little bit, but Nico Harrison just made a move that is a high risk, high reward, where you're potentially putting your job on the line to make this move because you're going to take the blame for it and you took the responsibility for it. So you have to really jump on the sword and say, I made this trade. This is me. And yes, they say he got ownership's backing on it, but this is me. I made this
Yeah. Oh,
move,
it's
and
all
I
it's on
feel
him.
like this is better for the Mavericks because once you think about this, how many, and I'm not justifying the trade. We already talked about our reasoning behind our thoughts for trading Luka, and we don't think he should have been traded unless he asked to be traded. But it makes you think how many backcourts have won a championship? Because now you're thinking maybe Nico wants a more balanced team than having two guards, score 25 plus a night when you can have a dominant post player who can score at all three levels. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
No, I look. I've been doing the same thing all night. Trying to figure out reasons in basketball fit wise. AD and Kyrie are great. It opens up more opportunities for Klay Thompson, I think, to get the ball more. I think now your bench is solidified a little bit more, even with injuries, because now you can bring Najee and PJ. Now you've got your backup four. You were looking for a backup four. Now PJ is your backup four. You know,
Is he though?
are you going to put him in the starting lineup? I would put, or are you going to
See,
throw Quentin Grimes in there?
that's
Like,
let's talk about that for a minute because that is a tough predicament because you could easily say PJ Washington is their third best player.
yeah.
Well, and now with Luka, well, it's still the same thing.
Or do you make another move? Is there another move coming? We still got 4 days, 5 days before the trade
Because you,
deadline.
that's a good question because you can't say, Clay, you're going to the bench. You
No,
can't
no,
do
no.
that.
Yeah.
So you can't really say PJ, you're going to the bench for what he's done for this team on the court, performance wise. I know you say because it's Anthony Davis, but that's hard to do because you can't play Clay at the two, but you really,
Yeah.
you
And
really
and
have to for a little bit to see how it works out.
and you know what? Anthony Davis wanted to play the four, and now he's going to exclusively play the four. He doesn't have to play center anymore because the Mavs have two dominant centers.
And he must be thrilled.
He's going to be happy about that. So that there you go. Look, basketball fit wise, yes. This is objectively speaking. If you were to say this is not Luka Dončić or Kyrie Irving, and if it was anybody else involved in the trade, this would be a slam dunk for the Mavs. In terms of basketball fit, right? You get another scoring guard off the bench in Max Christie. This makes Jaden Hardy expendable. Same age, but Christie is a much better defender. He's longer. He's more athletic. He kind of fits, the roster of the Mavs a little bit better than Jaden Hardy does. You get that 2029 first round pick that you gave up in the Kyrie Irving deal, so you replenish your draft capital there. And then, of course, Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving fit is seamless. But it's Luka Dončić. That's my point.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. Like it's I got to know the reason. That I mean, I'm not gonna be. I don't know if I'll be. And look, I really like what you said about this is a business, right? Like this is what happens, and we've been sports fans long enough to see it happen. We've seen players that we thought were going to be lifers. DeMarcus Ware, I thought DeMarcus Ware was going to be a Cowboy lifer forever.
yeah.
Then he leaves and goes and wins the Super Bowl somewhere else. And that was heartbreaking. To see that happen. And so you have to, I think every sports fan has one of those moments where they're kind of like, wow, okay, players are going to go somewhere else. They're always going to be a part of this team. Like DeMarcus Ware's in the Ring of Honor. He's always going to be a Cowboy.
Yeah.
He just spent 2 years in Denver, and good for him to win a title, but it is a business. It's not everyone is Dirk. Not everyone is Kobe. Not everyone's Tim Duncan where they're going to stay forever. Most players move around these days, and
Yeah.
so it's a part of the game. It's a part of sports, and they're not the Luka Mavericks or the Dallas Mavericks, and so this is for the city of Dallas. They're if Nico's doing what's best, what he thinks is best, I will understand it I will be accepting of it when I fully understand it. Let me say that. I think if that makes sense. Like again,
Yeah.
I've been trying to rationalize it and put. That's what we do, right? We try to figure out what was this move, and until we hear from him, until we hear additionally, kind of what went down, and or things coming out of the front office or locker room or Mark Stein or anybody like that, I'm still not going to be okay with this because it's Luka Dončić. But it is what it is. Welcome to sports.
I mean, that's the just honest truth. You have to deal with reality in this, and it's going to be weird because Luca's face is all over the Mavericks, right? Just the arena. I mean, he is the Mavericks, so that's going to be what's shocking how they remove everything. And Anthony Davis, I mean, I think that's being overshadowed because
Well,
it should be.
yeah, and
It should
everything
be.
I'm seeing is people are just upset because they're like, Anthony Davis is made of glass. Anthony Davis is always injured. If you're concerned about Luka's conditioning and injury history, Anthony Davis is perpetually injured, which
Which we said,
it's
but this is Nico. I mean,
yeah,
he's
it's a part of
he's
it. I mean,
he's really changing this team. And I mean, if you see the moves that he's making, he's really building this roster to win a championship. It's just throwing out Luca is shocking. But when you really look at it, when you really look at the roster building that Nico is doing, it does make sense. Now, no, I'm not saying
but
because of Luca. I'm saying I'm seeing the players, like the players that he's bringing in with the coach that they have. They're all close. They all have relationships. So that's what I'm trying to say is he's bringing in his guys. He's bringing
yeah,
in his guys. Nico's bringing in his guys from coaching to players. He's bringing in his guys because he wants to win his way. But I'm very surprised that the owners backed it because that really shows me that if the owners are backing Nico, which they should, because Nico up till today has made the best move. He's a top five GM in the last, 3 years. So I'm just curious why the ownership backed that decision. That's so I agree with you. I need to know why, but there's a reason why. Because if the owners backed the decision and Nico approached them, hey, I'm trading Luca. I just want to let y'all know this is because A, B, and C. I talked to coach, I talked to Kyrie, I talked to Clay, I talked to some peers, some counselors in the NBA circle. Like
there has to be a reason.
there
That's
has to be a reason you do
yeah.
this without him asking, unless they're playing the PR game. Unless they're playing the PR game, because who knows what Luca was going to do
I mean,
down the
by all
road.
accounts, Sham said that Luka's still shocked by this.
I know, but that's PR. That's what
Yeah,
agents
no, I know,
tell
I know.
media. So that's what I'm saying. Like there is a PR game. There could be I'm not. I'm speculating. There could be a PR game where Nico is saying, "I'll take the blame if you want out. I'll
Hmm.
take the blame because I have Anthony Davis on the table. That's probably the best I'm going to get player wise. Obviously, they didn't get picks to their liking." But that's probably the best player I'm gonna get for what's available, because it has to be a shocker to the Lakers as well.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to say is maybe Nico is taking the blame, and that's the agreement between him and Luka. Because Luka, as much as he done for the Mavericks,
He's
he
got a
doesn't want to
global
have that reputation
he's
of
got a global
asking
image
out.
he's got to maintain. Yeah.
That's an American thing, asking out and really giving up on the franchise because you want to explore something else. So that's what I'm trying to say, because he is giving up a lot of money, but Anthony Davis is too. So that's what makes me think as well. There's something behind the scenes going on,
Yeah.
because why would Anthony Davis turn down more money, his trade kicker? Because he's trying to help the Mavericks make another move or have
That's see
flexibility.
that's what I'm thinking. Something else has got to be in the works.
It has to be either a trade deadline or in the summer, because Nico's bringing in his guys, and you see the mentality that Kyrie, Clay, and Anthony Davis have. They're all similar,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm trying to say. Luka and Kyrie may have been friends, close friends. They actually grown close. I've seen it, and everyone has seen it.
Hmm.
Everyone has seen it. Um, but when you look at Anthony Davis and Clay Thompson, they have the right mind, and they're in sync. They're aligned with Kyrie.
You know, you brought up something, and we with I'm going back, and I know we're
You can't always believe what the reports say.
no, no, no. I know.
Not
I'm
you. I'm just saying the masses.
yeah, and I'm going back to something you said about Kyrie's leadership and how he's turned into this kind of leader, and it goes, you know what it goes back to in my mind. It goes back to LeBron's days in Cleveland when LeBron was like, this guy doesn't. LeBron knew what it took to win a title, right? When he went to Miami, right? With D Wade had already been there, he'd already won a title.
Yeah.
LeBron goes, obviously loses to the Mavericks, but then you kind of see the growth of LeBron James as he kind of figures out
Because
what's
they're
needed,
older.
right? Goes back to Cleveland. What does he do? Look, Andrew Wiggins, great player, number one pick. I need people that are ready to win. Goes gets Kevin Love, right? Is ready to win. Kyrie, was he ready to win? And then it got to the point where Kyrie was like, "Look, now I want to be the." He gets out, and LeBron's trying to get people in. He's saying, I don't want these cats that aren't taking this seriously. Like I need same thing with Kobe, right? How many times was Kobe like, I need to make, I want to play with this guy, I want to play with this guy because I want to win. Like I need guys that are locked in, ready to go. Maybe that's the case. We don't know. I think everything's conjecture at this point, right? We're just kind of, again, we're just trying to justify and we're trying to figure out the reasoning and we're trying to see what makes the most sense because right now nothing does. And so until that happens, we just kind of have to sit back and say, okay, I mean, this is reality. Like you said it best. Like there's nothing we can do. You can, we can be upset about it. We can be sad about it. It sucks. It's, we're not saying that the trade is a good trade. We're not saying that it should have happened. But until we know all the facts, even if we never get the facts, the reality is Luka Dončić is no longer a member of the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm glad you just said that. Even if we do get the facts, that it is what it is. Because even if we do get the reasoning behind, is it really the reasoning? That's why I brought up
Yeah.
that last point,
Yeah.
because there's something behind this where maybe I'm just thinking out loud. There's something behind this with why Lakers? Why with LeBron? Luka's one of his most respected players, and
And he
he's
said,
always highlighted LeBron.
and LeBron has constantly said the one player he wanted to play with was Luka.
Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to think. There's is Luka really stunned? Is Anthony Davis really stunned? Because why would Anthony Davis waive his trade kicker? And why would Luka Doncic go to the Lakers? Out of all the teams, that's what if he got traded today to the Bucks, or if
Mm-hmm.
he got traded today to somewhere else, I would be totally flabbergasted. But the Lakers with LeBron and he's always had some admiration for the Lakers. So like, is there something there that we don't know? Because even if you say he's stunned, this player is stunned, this player is stunned, that's just what PR does. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
agents tell media just to settle down a situation. So that's what I'm trying to say is did he really wanted to go to LA? Did Nico have a sense of that? Plus his thoughts of Luka's conditioning or just the injuries and just the mentality that he has. But also he's 25. He just had a baby. And he's not even fully developed, emotionally, intelligently. Like when you really think about it, I grew up and I really found myself as an adult around like 27, going into 28. I can't imagine having a baby at 25.
Yeah.
You're making all this money. You have so much pressure. The national media crucified you last 4 years. Now they're gonna love you, but it's crazy to me to think he is completely stunned if this has been building up for that long with negotiations between Nico and the Lakers front office.
Yeah. I mean, I keep refreshing Twitter and seeing it, and I'm seeing stuff from people saying, heard from multiple teams that nobody had any idea that Luka was available. And no teams were contacted other than the Lakers. So
That's what I'm trying to say,
that's,
Shahnavaz.
yeah, it's something
That's what
fishy's
I'm
going
trying to
on.
say.
Something fishy's going on. Yeah.
It's
The
not like
other
there's only two teams where I think that Lakers and
and
Nuggets
Knicks. Oh, Nuggets. Yeah, because
and
of Jokic.
Jokic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's only two teams where I really think was he completely stunned?
Was he just maybe he asked out and said, "I want to go to LA."
And Nico played, he saved face.
He
He
said,
said,
I'm not resigning next year. Like, I'm not going to sign the Supermax. I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to go wherever, but I want to be in LA."
and that's what I'm saying. Maybe he's giving Nico the respect of saying, "Hey, I'm letting you know this now. This has been on my mind the last few months." And maybe Nico's saying, "Okay, well, we'll have this reputation with everyone. Let's not have you look like Jimmy Butler." You
Yeah,
know,
because he's getting, I mean,
so I mean, there's so many
there's so
multiple
many options.
scenarios
Yeah, who knows?
because
Who
no
knows?
one knows. And even if Nico says the PR responses to this type of trade, you still don't know the real behind the scenes
Yeah.
that's going on. Because I'm just saying, Nico's very close to Jason Kidd. Nico's very close to Kyrie. And also, not just Nico, the CEO has relationships with these people,
Hmm.
and Clay. So, so I'm just saying, think about it. Think about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait on a reason because right now I'm tired and I'm ready to. I just my head is spinning.
Yep. All right. So last word, Shahnavaz, my goodness,
Confusion.
last word, 5 years from now, when you really look about when you because this type of trade doesn't settle in a few
No, this is
years.
a long term thing.
This is a long-term thing. So when you look back 5 years from now, what do you think? How do you think you're going to view Luka's career with the Dallas Mavericks?
Looking back 5 years from now, Luca's career with the sensational. I mean, otherworldly. You know,
Mm,
once in a lifetime. I mean, we haven't seen a player put up the accolades that he has his first half decade with the Mavs. So
yeah.
who knows? Maybe he comes back. Maybe he returns 2020 when he's a free agent. Now that he can't get this, I'm just throwing crap against the wall. No, yeah, sensational once in a lifetime. I mean, it's very rare that you get a talent like that on your team, and to be able to go to Western Conference Finals and make a Finals appearance is fantastic. And he's a great player, and
Well,
I hope he does not succeed with the Lakers. And
yeah.
it's not his fault. I'm just a Mavs fan. Look, you can be a Luka fan and you can be a Dallas fan, right? Like they're two separate things. And there's nothing wrong with either of them.
Yeah. And what I'll tell you this for sure, I will not miss the Luka fans versus Kyrie fans going at
Oh
it
man,
every day,
and the Luca
after every
fans
game.
and the Luca fans wanting Jason Kidd fired after every every boneheaded or whatever turnover, whatever the case may be. Like
Yeah.
we can stop all that now.
Well, and that's why I always remind people sometimes it's not just wins and losses, and sometimes it's not just X's and O's. The NBA is based on relationships.
Yeah.
And no matter who you are, your spot is never guaranteed. And that's what it is. And I think Nico has made a bold move because that's the GM. He's getting the reputation for it. He makes moves and he's not afraid to trade anyone, especially after this one. So we haven't even talked about Maxi Kleber or Markieff Morris. And that's what's crazy because we talked about Maxi Kleber the last few weeks as a trade chip, and then he got hurt, so we stopped talking about it. And then he still gets traded. So
Yeah.
what in the world is going on? We'll get more updates, but I think looking back on Luka's career, it's like watching a Netflix where you have a great season and a great 5 seasons, then it gets canceled. You're like, what the heck? Why could it? It's like Ozark,
Hmm.
it's so good,
Yeah.
and then they just stop, and it's sad to see because you want to relive on the positive chapters and the positive episodes of that series, but then it just ended bad when the last season of that show was the best season and had the highest ratings, but it gets canceled the next season. So that's where I look at it. And it's a sad day for Mavs fans, a sad day for the franchise, even though they're getting a top 10 player, when he's healthy back. And that's honestly, that's the best thing you can do for a franchise if Luka asks out. There's no reports of him asking out, so that's why this is
That.
so
Yeah.
crazy. So Shahnavaz, man, we might have to have a pod in a couple days after more news comes
We'll
out
have to.
because
Yeah. We'll see. We'll
this
see what
might be
happens.
a Luka podcast on its own journey
Yeah.
because this is not something that you just move on the next week and talk about the Mavericks
No,
games
this will be talked about for
for the
years.
rest of the season and
Yeah.
in years to come
Yeah.
because that's a trade that changes NBA history.
And more reports are coming out about teams were not notified of this. If they knew, there's one I just read that if teams knew that Luka was available, they were prepared to unload a historic haul of draft picks. But Dallas prioritized Anthony Davis as their number one, which, to your point, means Nico wants to win now. Draft picks are draft picks. You hit on them or you don't, right? But Anthony Davis, you know what you're getting. You
Hmm.
know the fit with Kyrie.
Hmm.
Um,
He wants to play
think
power
it.
forward.
I think it's the shock of it's just Luka Dončić because on paper, kind of makes sense for the Mavericks.
It's
But
it's Kyrie's team now.
yeah, it's Kyrie's team, and it just sucks, man.
Yeah, yeah. You just said it well. It does suck. Um, and once again, I'm gonna say he shouldn't have been traded unless he asked out. But
Agreed.
that's why I say NBA is about relationships. And what you just said, it kind of pushes towards that theory that NBA is about relationships. Because if these teams don't know Luka is available, and the trade that you make is to the Lakers, and pairing up Luka with LeBron in his twilight years, he might even retire at the end of the season. No matter who knows what's going to happen with the Lakers, because now they have no post. I mean,
Yeah,
Anthony Davis was their post.
they'll have to make other moves too,
They'll have to
potentially.
make
But
other moves. I mean, yeah, they had Richards from the Hornets, but I'm talking about like playoff contenders. So this is going to be
yeah,
interesting. I mean, I think that's good for this podcast, but this is going to be multiple
this will
podcasts.
be yeah, this will
This
take a
is
while.
chapter one, just processing Luka trade to the Los Angeles Lakers. Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first round pick in 2029 is coming to the Dallas Mavericks. We will have more in the podcast episodes to come. Check our socials. We have more to just talk about what is going on. I'm just processing, continuing to process this trade. Luka Doncic, it's hard to say.
It's
Luka Doncic has been traded from Dallas. Goodbye, everyone.